everyone, Tyler King here with the Denver Gazette after Colorado's 37-21 loss to Kansas here at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. And sometimes it's not always the case, but sometimes you really can break a football game down into one sentence. And that sentence is one that Deion Sanders repeated multiple times in his brief 10, 15-minute post-game press conference. That was, they didn't punt one time. And that they being Kansas, who scored on all 7 possessions in which they tried to tonight, 4 touchdowns, 3 field goals, not counting kind of the end of game possession where they just kneeled the end of the clock out. This was a dominant offensive performance by a Jayhawks team that has some really good players. Obviously, Devin Neal, the veteran running back, a Lawrence native nearby, playing for his hometown team. He's been a good player for a bunch of years, but tonight, one of the best games of his career. He had 207 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns, had 80 receiving yards and a long touchdown that opened the scoring on the first series of the game. Jalen Daniels, the quarterback, was dynamic. He didn't have to do a ton because Devin Neal was doing it all, but the plays he had to make, he did as well. And it was just the worst defensive performance of the season for a Colorado defense that has been much, much improved in 2024. I mean, coming into this game, you would have said Robert Livingston, the defense coordinator for the Buffs, was a Broyles Award candidate, the other award that goes to the best assistant coach in the nation. But tonight, I mean, that kind of dream ended here at Arrowhead Stadium. It's a place that Robert Livingston has won at before. Obviously, during his time with the Bengals, he went to Super Bowl and they beat the Chiefs here to make it to the Super Bowl. But tonight, no such luck for Robert Livingston. His defense just could not get stops when they needed to. I mean, they were giving up chunk plays on first down. It just felt like everything that Kansas wanted to do, it was able to do. And obviously what they wanted to do was get the ball to Devin Neal, and which they did over 40 times to great success. So disappointing loss for CU. Can't really complain too much about the offensive performance despite another slow start. They go 3 and out on their first offensive possession. Then that second possession, they turn it over on downs. They had it 3rd and short, ran it twice, and lost a couple yards, which we've seen happen, earlier this season, but not so much lately. So, and they were just playing catch up the entire game. Like I said, when the other team is scoring every time they get the ball, it's almost impossible for the offense to do really anything but be perfect, and they weren't perfect today. They made it close at times. CU had a chance to take the lead on the first possession of the second half, and from there it just, I mean, that's it. It is what it is. Colorado couldn't get the job done today, and the destiny that they did control. As Coach Prime said for the game, they fumbled it. They controlled their own destiny to a Big 12 title game and obviously the college football playoff. But now they fumbled that, and now they need some help to get to the Big 12 title game. It's not over and out of the question. They need to beat Oklahoma State on Friday, and then either BYU needs to lose or I think Iowa State needs to lose to Kansas State. One of those 2 outcomes will probably get CU to the Big 12 title game at Dallas, which, I mean, that's not out of the question. But they had a chance to to get there just by winning these last 2 games. And they fall here today in Kansas City against a really good Kansas team. Like, I want to give this Kansas team a lot of credit because they were picked to finish 4th, I think, in the preseason Big 12 media poll, which got a lot wrong. Obviously, Utah was one of the favorites. Oklahoma State was in the top 3 as well. And you got teams like Arizona State and BYU near the bottom that are now tied at the top of the standings now with the Buffs in the Big 12. But this is a really good Kansas team. They struggled out of the gates, won their first game, but then lost 5 in a row. But now have kind of bounced back in recent weeks. Now they've got 3 straight wins over ranked opponents, all of whom, in every one of these games, has kind of thrown another wrench into the Big 12 title race. They beat Iowa State, they beat BYU, now they beat the Buffs. And like I said, it is a really good team. They've got talent all over the field. They've had a 4th quarter lead in every game this season, despite now being 5-6. Like, a couple plays go their way, and this is a 7 or 8 win team that could be, where the Buffs are and competing for a Big 12 title. So, but I mean, but CU is not going to care about that at all. They're disappointed with the effort, especially defensively, because it's been a unit that's been playing really, really well lately. They ended the game at Texas Tech with a couple turnovers. Last week against Utah, they did everything they needed to do against a bad Utah offense, but they did their job, and it's been a remarkable turnaround from the unit that was in 2023, just one of the worst in the country, and now they've been they've been so dominant at times this season, but tonight just everything went wrong. And yeah, now like I said, it is what it is. CU has to win next Friday against Oklahoma State on senior day at Folsom Field, and they need to get some help to get to the Big 12 title game. I don't think the tiebreaker scenarios will go their way if everybody kind of wins. So, yeah, like I said, disappointing, but I mean, they kind of got what they asked for today. Coach Prime said his big takeaway after the game was CU was intoxicated by the recent success. Obviously, a 5-game winning streak. You know, you've got plenty of national attention after a quiet couple months, you know, for CU. They were kind of under the radar for a little bit. Now they got up to high as 16 in the college football playoff ranking. That will obviously fall a couple spots probably on Tuesday night. But, you know, and it just seemed like some players weren't ready to play tonight. Kansas was way more physical. They dominated at both lines of scrimmage. And CU just wasn't ready for it. It's pretty as simple as that. It's disappointing that it comes in a stadium like this, which the Broncos lost in heartbreaking fashion a couple weeks ago. It just feels like Colorado teams might be cursed in Arrowhead Stadium. But Buffs will go back to Boulder tonight on Saturday night and get some rest and quickly turn the page. Like I said, a short week on Friday for Oklahoma State. So I've already got a pair of stories at DevonGazette.com. You can see them in our e-edition tomorrow as well. My colleague Mark Kisla, who's up here, is up there writing a column right now, which you can check out as well shortly on DenverGazette.com and in the e-edition. So plenty of coverage from this game and plenty still more to come throughout the week leading up to the Oklahoma State game, and then potentially maybe, who knows, a Big 12 title game. But if not, if the Buffs don't reach there, they have obviously already clinched a bowl game, and they'll learn their fate after all the bowls, or after the conference championship games are played and everything, if they're not going to one. So thanks everybody for watching, and like I said, go read all my coverage at DenverGazette.com and stay tuned for what's to come this week.